changed. Packet Tracer got some more stuff into it. The beginning of this year was that they added onto it real rapidly stuff they wanted to do that went ahead and pushed to get done, of where it's got the physical view now and that you see the cable for, because they've pushed heavily in the past. Matter of fact, in the past at times they told us that the classes really weren't supposed to be done online. Um, but the push was that students definitely had to do at least a final involving physical equipment. But with the pandemic, obviously things changed on that along the way, but they've already let us know they're going to push again towards that you've got to get your hands dirty on the machines. And they're okay with me just having y'all do the cabling of the devices for the final. Big thing is we want everybody to know what the machines actually look like. What you get a feel of if you go to the physical in-packet tracer, that you actually do see them and that you do see how the wires are hanging and everything else. So it's very realistic on it, but still not quite the same thing. So I assume in spring, I will probably be requiring students in the spring to have to come to campus to do their, I'll actually be doing 2451. They'll have to come in and at mid-semester and at the end of the semester and build those 3 cables like you were supposed to do. Now, if any of y'all want to do that, when I get to that point, I am actually going to send back to the 2451 class from last spring, and to my spring one the year before, where I'd gotten partly through doing people when the pandemic hit, to give y'all the opportunity, if you want to come learn how to make the straight through crossover and rollover cables, that you'll be able to come in and do those also, and that I will show y'all how to do them. Doesn't make any difference on grades at that point. That's just because I've had several students I know in both of those previous classes had made requests about they'd still wanted to learn how to actually do the plugs for those cables. And I told them that I would do that at that point. And at this point, I expect that spring will be that I'll be back to having students come in. That's the way I'm expecting. This semester, I probably could have had y'all come in, but with all the ups and downs and everything still right at the moment and issues, that I just made the decision early on. But I did put it on the syllabus every time in case I did, if things all of a sudden improved and I wanted to do it. But I'm not going to have y'all come in. No, you probably wouldn't have, because it's the group before y'all that actually started to do one, but then since then. Okay, I will need to open that up, Matt, and I will do that. Because I thought I had opened it, but I may not. I think I know what it is that it's got a time limitation on it. And so of the maximum amount of time I can open it. And I think I can go ahead and open it at this point. Let me look real quick, since y'all are asking on that. It's related to what we're doing in here, so there's no reason I can't go do that real quick. So I'm going in Medicaid real quickly here. Because if I don't do it right now, I may forget when I get off from y'all. Which is another reason for having y'all send me the emails if you need, like you missed the test or whatever that you need to see about getting something done on. Okay. Final skills exam, the PTSA one. Let's see if I can do it at this point. Okay, I can do it because it's 90 days I can open it up for. So I can go ahead and open that. But until earlier this month, I would not have been able to. I think y'all's finals are due on the 7th. Does that sound right to y'all? I've got calendar open here. Yes, okay. And put the deadline on it. And y'all can redo this final at least 40 times. That's the biggest number it shows on it, but I think you can actually go beyond that. So when you go through doing it, if you want to go, wait a minute, I'll go back and do again. And I believe it self-scores.
Yeah, the practice one, right?
Huh?
The practice one.
I just opened the real one.
Whoa.
And
because last time I was only able to do it one time, and then it locked up on me, and I couldn't do anything on the exam. It's like one time and you're done.
It may be, but let me find the practice one too. And you're doing the PTSA one, not the equipment, because y'all aren't working on real equipment.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, we could if we had the equipment at our own house, but you know.
Well, the only problem is you've got to do the other one because you're not going to bring the equipment over and show me it on your equipment. And the practice one, let me get that one activated because it's not active. And it had a 90-day limit on it. So that's why those weren't kicked in. And I'm not real worried about when it ends. But the real one showed when I was doing it, it said how many attempts were allowed. But I do remember what you said, that in the previous semester, it kicked on just one. And I don't remember if it kept showing like you actually had repeated attempts on. I know one thing, no, on that one, it doesn't make a big difference. It should allow repeated attempts.
I thought it was the practice one that was allowed repeated, but the final itself, you can't do it multiple times.
It should on the
one shot and that's it.
It should allow you to redo. It's got everything marked there to allow to redo. It should have allowed on the other to redo. Now the final exam itself, you can only do one time.
Yeah. Okay. So, but the practice one, that's what you're talking about, where as many times as we want, we can do it. But the final, the last one,
you can definitely do as many times as you want to do it.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
The actual skills assessment final, you should be able to do it multiple times too.
Now, in the practice, does it have, let's say you get it wrong or you get it right, it'll tell you the correct answer, or it just says pass or fail on the question? You know, like
I don't know.
Okay.
Because I have not done that one, but
the skills final is like one of our labs, right? The skills final is
it
just
should
like
work like your labs, correct?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah. So I remember doing it last year, but I never tried doing it again.
Okay.
The PTSA labs, okay?
Yeah, it's not just like a regular test.
So it should work the same.
So packet tracer self-assessment, is that what that is? Lab?
Yeah, it's
what
that
stands
like
for?
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like
okay.
Let me back the screen so that I can make sure I know what I'm looking at. All right. The practice one is in the practice exams section. Okay. And it says that it is practice PT skills assessment.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. That's not the one. That's one of them. wait a minute. That's the, that's not the right one for y'all. Because y'all are in ENSA. I didn't activate the right one of the practices for you.
This is so crazy. This is the
Actually, the
most.
one I just activated for y'all is from the first course because they're giving you all of the practice
Whoa.
from all 3 courses. The
Wow.
ENSA one is the one that applies to this course.
Sweet.
Let me,
This is the most collaboration I've done since I've been in these 3 classes. Just saying. This is
so
pretty.
let
This is
me
pretty incredible.
activate the ENSA one because that's the one y'all are really interested in.
Yeah, that's the last one, right, of this class.
Because that's this class.
Yeah.
And this is the lab final. It's now activated for you. So the one that says practice ENSA practice, down there in the practice exams, but the one down there that says ENSA practice skills assessment, that's your practice for your final. And then let me check, see if I activated the practice final exam. No, I haven't done that one either. So I'll get that one while I'm here, right here.
So if the ones that are practice will say practice. The other ones.
Now I see the one that kicks me the problem. The practice final exam, which y'all believe only allows me to activate it for 7 days. Now, why in the world they've got that, I have no earthly idea. Why you would not allow me to activate it for longer. So I am going to go ahead and activate it, but if I don't remember next week to activate it again, you're not going to see it activated. But if y'all go to do the practice final and it says it's not activated, just drop me a note and I'll activate it again. But me trying to remember to activate this every week for the rest of the semester, that's crazy.
So let me just make sure this is right. The ENSA final exam, PTSA is the one that I need to take.
That's the lab final, correct?
Yes. Okay, just making sure. All right. So like I said, I emailed you about the 9-12 exam, and I'm gonna email you about the 13 through 14 exam, and then I'll take that one. I'm gonna do it all today.
But
so I go back out of town in 3 days.
So at this point, because like I say, on the final exam, I will throw you this, and this is why I think y'all can. The final skills exam, I know y'all should be able to do that multiple times, because just like if you were doing your own equipment, you could redo and redo till you were ready for me to see on it. But I don't know. You may only be able to do the final skills exam once, although it gave me the option, and its default was to say that it could be done 40 times. So I don't know. Because personally, the final skills exam, as far as I'm concerned, y'all could sit there and until, well, once you submit it, you've submitted it. But usually I'll let students, I thought I've let students do it repetitive times versus where on the other way. But once you've turned it in, you turned it in. So I don't know. I would go ahead and figure on you can only do the final skills exam one time. Okay. Because the final exam, I'm setting it only one time, and I could
It'll be closer to the end of the class, right?
Huh?
It'll be closer to the end of the class.
Wait a minute, I didn't catch what all you said.
It'll be closer to the end of the class.
Yes, the final exam.
Okay. Yeah.
Final exam will be from Saturday, something like December the 4th through Tuesday, December the 7th. so that I've got it open on the weekend and on weekdays, ending in the final exam day.
Okay.
Because final exam days at the college is the 7th and 8th, and I have all of my finals in my online classes end on the first one. But you don't have to worry about overlap of times, which is the reason for the 2 days of finals, that if you were taking finals on campus, theoretically, certain classes meet on one day, certain time periods and days meet on one day at a time, and the other classes meet on the other day at the time that corresponds to it. So then that they give them 2 hours for it. So if you're in the first hour of the time period, you're probably on Tuesday. If you're in the second hour, if you're in the other day that your class meets Tuesdays and Thursdays, you'd be the other day in that same time period. And it keeps things from colliding. But y'all get more than that anyway, so I finish it on Tuesday. That makes it easier for me coming on down, because that Friday morning, either that Friday morning or the next Monday morning, probably that Friday morning, at 10 o'clock, I have to have the grades in. So if I let y'all do them through Wednesday, that leaves me only Thursday to get all your grades figured out and everything. So if I have it just through Tuesday, it gives me Wednesday and Thursday. And in this class, I've got to get the grades finished, transferred, and then catch any errors between the two systems, which works for y'all's advantage, because it definitely works for me to catch errors, because I compare the numbers it comes up with for average at both the Cisco site and the Blackboard site. Although the Blackboard gradebook is the official one. But I make sure that I did transfer your test grades to Blackboard correctly, and that I transferred your assignments to Netacad correctly. And the numbers should come out just about the same. Now, they don't always come out exactly the same, but they're almost always within a point. And because how they've got, where they put their parentheses in the calculations off of what I said each thing was worth varies slightly. So, but if it does come out where it is significant, within that point, and they're all correct at that point, I go with a higher number to use to give your letter grade. But I think in the 20 years I've taught Cisco, I've only had that occur once, that it made a difference for somebody, and I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Okay. Now, any other questions on the finals? Those are good questions. So we got you relatively set up for that now. Let me get back over here so I can read comments. Okay. If it only allows it once, Justin, that I don't think I can overwrite it at all. Okay. And then I'd have to overwrite it for everybody, and that would throw a ton of work, could throw a ton of work on me at that last week. So figure on just being able to do one attempt, do it correctly. Okay. Okay. Now, y'all may have noticed the background behind me is not my normal background. It's a motel room in Brooks, Kentucky. I left my training session yesterday in Indianapolis, and when I got through Louisville, Kentucky, the front end of my car started vibrating bad every time I changed lanes. So I stopped at the first pilot type place to pull in, and for me to look at it and see if I saw what it was, because it did it a little bit before that, but it was pouring rain in Indiana yesterday. But when I crossed the line into Kentucky, the weather got good and the road dried up. Not quite as good as it's been today, although I hope it doesn't rain too much today. I hope it really doesn't rain on through the afternoon. that, so I stopped. I couldn't tell what was wrong or if something really was wrong. That was Sunday, and AAA looked up some places for me to call to see about getting it worked on, and they found a guy that was open on Sunday and called him, but I didn't ever get a reply back, left a message. And after an hour or so, I went, well, I'm just going to get a room here. So I got a room and stayed last night, which is where I am today. The guy called me back about an hour after I got in the room and said he was in Indiana and on the way back down just below where I am and would be coming right by here. And he said, I'll just stop and look at your car here. Well, he actually works on cars at their location, I found out. He doesn't have a garage. And he did stop. He checked out my car, jacked it up. The left wheel seemed fine. He did notice wear on the tie rods or whatever they are under there. And said I'd need to be getting those replaced soon, but that wasn't a problem. And he did notice it was out of alignment, but we didn't think that was really causing what I was incurring. And when he jacked up the right tire and went to move it, it moved back and it flopped back and forth some. And we went, well, there's the vibration. So then he said what he'd need to replace. And so he had to order parts for that. Did that in the parking lot, gave me a price, and it was a really good price, and charged me some for the road call, the service call yesterday, but not bad, especially with the total bill. As far as I'm concerned, is cheap. He's not marking up parts, he's just charging labor and the cost of the parts. As he showed me those, I watched him order them. And so they were to come into Advanced at 12:30 today where he can get them. And then he's going, no, it's not the wheel bearings. It's the actual rods connecting the effectively like used to be axles and stuff on there, but you've got rods going down. And so that is what was needing replacing. Wheel bearings would be easy. And so he's picking up the parts 12:30, and then he's going to come work on my car in the parking lot, replace the parts, but then I got to get an alignment. So he's got me an appointment with a place to get an alignment at 4 o'clock this afternoon. He says that was the latest one he could get anywhere because he obviously does not have alignment equipment. And I don't know if y'all realize, but on these new cars with the alignment stuff and everything involved in them and the four-wheel alignments and everything, you have to buy some expensive equipment and software to do that. He said the software is $2,500, not counting that you got to buy the equipment and everything for it too. He's got me an appointment with a local place because I said, now am I going to be able to get an alignment tomorrow? Because you try to get one, and most places you got to make an appointment sometimes several days in advance because there's so few places doing it because of the cost that they have backups on them now. So he got me a play. He said it was the latest one he could get, but that he'd be done by then. So he's going to get that done starting in just an hour, hopefully. And he's going to replace those parts out there in the parking lot. And then I'll get that. I'm staying here again tonight because given all of that, it may be 5 or it'll definitely be towards 5 before I'd be able to get on the road. And I still got 4 more hours at least going down the road. Actually, I think I got about 5.5 hours to still go according to GPS because I am just like 20 miles below Louisville, Kentucky. And I'm going, I think I'd be better off, and I can work on the computer in my hotel room all afternoon by extending my stay tonight. So I'm going to be on the road tomorrow. If any of you have me for collaborate sessions tomorrow, I am going to do them at the correct times, but I'm going to use the phone in the car stopped at wherever it is at each point to get that done. And then I'll get on back. So I am answering email. I am responding to everything all at the end of last week. And now the training last week did take the amount of times I thought it might. They'd start us at 7 or 8 in the morning with training. When we started at 7, while we were eating breakfast, they were going through things with us. They had us go out on a couple of activities, and they ran right on through supper in the evening. One night we went to the Kiwanis headquarters and toured it, and then had barbecue supper there. And another night we went to the NCAA Hall of Fame, toured it, played in there, and had supper in there in the evening. And they bused us to each of those places. That Hall of Fame was actually in walking distance of the hotel, found out because a couple of people had walked over. So I think about 10 of us walked back out of the 40 of us. So they said it was a 15-minute walk, and that was right. It took us a little longer because we stopped and looked at stuff. That was really neat. But again, 7 in the morning till when you finished on the stuff with supper and you were with your groups and talking with people, that was full days. And Saturday was the same way. So I did check email every day and did do some stuff every day, either early before I walked out of the room. Basically, all I did was check the email at that point. And then the evening, I actually did do a little bit more and checked and answered emails in the evening also. Yesterday, I did some grading and stuff, and I'm going to do some grading later today. And I've actually done some other school stuff this morning, and I've been taking a Network Plus seminar that ended last week. That was on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. Well, I missed a couple of those sessions, so I had to listen to recordings. So I got through Tuesdays, and I'm the first part of the way, 30 minutes through the 2-hour recording on Thursday, and I'm going to try to get that done today. And then I start taking this security one, CASP plus training. Don't ask me what that stands for right off. This CompTIA Advanced Security something, I believe is what it is. It's a one exam I have never taken or thought about taking, but I'm going to see how well I learn it. They'll give me a free voucher if I attend all the sessions, either live or record it within a week of when they finish them. And I will try it and see what happens. And with the one that's teaching it, he is good. I've had him before. The one that did the Network Plus, I had some problems with some of the stuff he taught in there that I got in disagreements. So somewhere in the next they'll send me a voucher for Network Plus, and somewhere in the next few weeks, I'm going to go take Server Plus, Security Plus, and Network Plus. I already got those other 2 from previous class sessions within the last year, and get those all taken. And I expect to pass all 3 of those. Partly, in the first place, I already have the certifications for them all. I'll be taking the latest certification for them, which will renew all but my Server Plus, which will renew my newer Net Plus and Security Plus. And then I actually have an old lifetime Net Plus and Server Plus, which don't ever expire. So it will renew my newer Network Plus, and the Server Plus one, I'll have another additional lifetime certification, assuming I pass it, but I think I will, because I'm pretty comfortable on that one. So we'll see what happens. I'll let y'all know when I take them. I plan to start taking some of them next week. So that's where we're going from. So that's where I am at this point, and I am live. And that's the other advantage of staying tonight, was I can work in the room up here while he works on the car in the parking lot. And I don't have to worry about trying to find internet connection or trying to work off the phone or whatever today. But I will have to do that with Collaborate tomorrow. So y'all are lucky. You got me Collaborate in normal. All right. Any questions on all of that for me? But the car is going to be okay, and I found the right mechanic. Now, registration, if you're going to be a student here next semester, you need to be registering for spring if you have not already registered. I have assisted several students in registering while I've been on the road. Theoretically, it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I was on personal leave for those 3 days, but I actually worked 2 hours a day every day. So I didn't. Today, probably somebody would say that I need to be on leave for today. But I'm working, so I won't. So I'm teleworking. So if you haven't registered and you're going to be back spring, please do it. If you're graduating, if you haven't already applied for graduation this semester, you need to get it in ASAP, but probably can't walk at this point. You may still be able to. I'm not sure when Missy actually cuts it off, but it's coming up real quick. If you're graduating in the spring, you need to go ahead and apply for graduation also. And I know at least one of you that graduates spring has already done that also. And I know several of you for fall, I think, have done that also. Because Ashlyn, I think you have yours in and everything, and Matt has his in. And the fee is just if you're walking. If you're just getting the diploma, the papers sent to you, they actually don't charge you on that one, at least the last I knew. And it is at this point, which is what they wrote us the end of last week, they started writing the faculty and went, all right, y'all got to tell us which graduation are you going to attend this graduation this fall? I have to attend one. They said it's at least one every academic year. I got told last year when I went to both of them that would get me out of the fall one. But that's not what I'd have to then, if I skip this one, I'd have to go to Rome in the spring. That doesn't say I won't go to Rome in the spring, but normally in the past I have not, but I went to Rome in the spring and I did the Dalton one last fall. It is indoors at the Dalton Convention Center is the plan right now. However, they have changed how they're doing it. In the past, we've always done them in the evening on that Thursday evening. I believe December the 2nd is when they're scheduled. This time, because of COVID and stuff, and to cut the numbers in there down, our graduation, the business department and computers and health will have graduation at noon. And then at 4:00, they will have a second graduation that day. That'll be for the public service and the technical fields do graduation. So they're splitting it in two this time and having it in the day. So be aware of that one if you're planning on walking. All right. Now, y'all are in network management this week in chapter 10. And they go through and show you a number of things related to that. Network time protocol comes up in here. And that's one that I've watched cause problems sometimes on networks. NTP will go and get the time off of the time server in Denver, usually. And then that'll get your machine sitting on a standardized time where they're all on exactly the same time. If you're not connected out onto the internet, it can't do that. So it will go off whatever server you have designated, or it will just go with whatever you said it is. Now, in networking, if your machines don't all match on the time, and this can even be a time zone issue, which I particularly find pop up with people putting in new machines. You will sometimes have that your stuff will not go through on the network because they're on different times, and will cause problems on it. So if it's being erratic on its sending and receiving stuff, check the times on the machines and see if it's been marked to actually use NTP instead of physically putting the times in the machines. The second one is look and see what it's got marked as the time zone, because it will pick up on that also and go, wait a minute, this don't match. And people, when you get your computers new, typically they're sitting in Pacific time zone. And you got to change the time zone to match to where you are if you're not in Pacific time zone, which most of my students are not. I have had a couple of students that attended from out there. So I have to say most. So since most of us are in Eastern time zone, and it's possible somebody could be in Central in our class, because actually I've taught a class for a couple of classes for Chattanooga State at their Kimball campus, which is like 10 miles just over the Central time zone line. That's interesting when I've taught those, going over to teach them and changing times. And when I go back tomorrow, I'll go into Central time as I go further on down, and then I'll go back to Eastern. But I am in Eastern where I am right now up here. That really is confusing. Make sure that you got the correct time zones set in the machines also. Now, if the machines are actually located in two different time zones, Windows has no problem with that. It understands. If you're using the network time protocol, it will handle that. Okay. But you got to watch on that one. So they go through and talk about that a good little bit for you. You also look at the discovery protocol, the Cisco discovery protocol, and that will be a way to find out what all is on your network of your routers and switches and everything. And that one works nicely. LLDP works pretty good. There's not a whole lot on that for you learning about where it learns them, but it's working at layer 2. CDP, if I remember right, works at layer 1. They do a little bit of discussion on SNMP, the Simple Network Management Protocol, which does give you a good bit of abilities on how you manage devices related to your network. So that one can be useful. The management information base is where all of that information that it knows about the network is kept. So be aware of that. And SNMP can be misused, so y'all can set up some things on it to trap things coming in, etc. So you can set up some interesting things on that one, playing with it. And then they do a little bit of talk on your Cisco equipment. The ROM-MON mode is just going to put you into a monitor mode running off the ROM to get your equipment up and try and figure out what's wrong with your routers or switches. Not very often I've ever done anything in ROM-MON mode. Main thing I've ever done in ROM-MON mode, that's a tongue twister, is that I've used it when the password to a switch or a router is unknown and you can't get into anything. You can actually go in ROM-MON mode and you can actually wipe out everything sitting in there, including the password. And then you can get in, but you got to rebuild all your settings in it. But you couldn't get into anything anyway to see the settings to change whatever it was. So, and in the classroom, we do run into that some on the devices we've got sitting in the classrooms, that sometimes we have to, because we may have Matt sitting in there this semester using the equipment right there. And Matt decides, instead of using the passwords the book says to use, of Cisco and class and such things that we know what the passwords are, he decides he's going to use other passwords. He's been hungry for ice cream, so he names them, uses passwords that are flavors of ice cream. Well, we don't know that. And he graduates, and we go to use the equipment next semester, and it's password protected. And so the only thing to do is go to ROM-MON mode and wipe it all out, including the password, and then we can get in. And in that case, it's no problem wiping out everything, because we want to wipe out everything anyway, and set it back to defaults. So, because that was when Kevin went to use it next semester. And so that happens regularly. Or that I go to use it, and for some reason, how you spell class is supposed to be CLASS. For some reason, that the way I spell class, apparently, when I go into that machine and do and consistently do, and so never have a problem while I'm doing it, is that it's C1ASS. And then nobody knows what it was. And then I forget that I always bump that other key instead of, I use that L key that's up on the top row instead of that L key that's down in the middle. Because that is an L up there on the beginning of that top row, isn't it? And I forget that, and then I scream for the instructor and go, I can't get into the machine or whatever, and so that will work for us. So that's pretty much what you're going to be going through in Chapter 10. I think it'll probably be a little easier in QoS, but I think it'll be also, you'll see things in there that you can use and that you can see the uses of easily. All right, any questions for me? But we've actually gone 45 minutes at this point. And I assume everybody, it looks like everybody's put something in here. All right, so I am going to stop the recording, seeing as I've gotten a whole bunch of no's, and tell you to have a good